Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's the Newpreneur cast. Now, here's the thing: when have you actually looked back on your business when you first started, and did you have any missteps that you actually started to do in your early days? But how did you recover, and how did you adapt to those little missteps? They happen all the time in business. They do, I promise you. If it works out perfectly, hats off. But majority of the time, there's a couple of things that happen that you need to get over and try and get across with. So it's great pleasure this week on the Newpreneur cast to welcome one of my special guests, a gentleman who's been helping many people in regard to their mindset, their leadership, and also striving forward in their businesses. Can you please welcome with me today, the one and only Mr. Tony Gordon of Changing Your Mind Limited. Tony, how are you today?
Very good, Lee. Thank you very much for such a nice introduction. How are you?
You're welcome. No, I'm fine, thank you. I said that with a high-pitched Geordie accent there. Very.
I just was going to say that, yes.
Yeah, no, I'm all good indeed. But it's been a busy week, Tony. I tell you, it's been a busy week.
Yeah, but a good week. I think for a lot of people, you get to Friday, the good thing is being able to reflect on it and look back over the week. And if you can say that it's been a good week, amazing. That's what you want to hear.
It is indeed. I mean, it's been great this week. I mean, catching up with yourself as well, out and about in Lanarkshire, and then I've had a lot of time online and a little bit of traveling around. But majority I've been doing online this week. Have you been out and about a bit more?
I've been both sides, yeah, for me. Obviously, we met on face to face this week as well. We delivered the Lanarkshire event
Yeah.
out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, yeah, I've been out most of the week this week. But you're right, it's getting the balance between the two because some people still prefer online. So, yeah, that option is always there. But for me personally, you get no better than meeting people face to face. I say everybody, I've just been talking to a client about that a couple of minutes ago. It's about the energy you get in a room. That's what's amazing when you meet people, and it's even one-to-ones. You made a good comment the other day to someone. You said, I never realised the height you were. And I went, it's really funny how many people get a perception of you for these little boxes until you meet up. And then it's either like, yeah, but they never know what to do. Everybody seems so different outside the box.
Because you only see them in a little square. People
Yeah.
get that mistake with me all the time. They think I'm 6'3", but when I meet them, I'm only 5'9". So it's like they're very surprised with my height, Tony. They usually are.
I'm saying nothing then. Okay. If you say that, then I'll believe you.
Thanks, Tony. So we're having a chat, and especially this week, you mentioned there before about reflecting, right? And I
Yeah.
think it's such an important part. Many business owners don't take the time to reflect, do they really?
No, for me, it's quite disappointing sometimes when I speak to them about it that they don't do that. Regularly, you have to reflect, evaluate where you're at, to understand the progress that you've actually made, but also to look at the challenges that you faced. Did you face them the right way? As I say, three sample steps I have with people. One, what did you do well? Two, what didn't go so well? And three, what do I need to do then to make it different next time? Three simple questions you ask yourself after every little thing you do. And if you reflect on it, it's amazing what you learn. And people say, oh, but it went wrong. There, that's brilliant. And they look at you, what? Well, it's fantastic because we actually learn a lot of time more from things that go wrong than from things that go right. Because when things go right, you just carry on. When they go wrong, it gives you a chance to learn, to improve, and to make sure you don't have the same challenges next time.
Yeah. I think again from that, what I've learned in my years of doing this is that anybody who's practicing to get better at something wouldn't just give it one try and go, well, I didn't do really well at that, I'm just going to leave it and put it by the wayside. The ones who actually get better and more improved in it, it's a bit like a sporting athlete. You know, they want to get a better time or something. They try it, didn't work that well. Okay, what can I do differently? Not completely change the wheel, but adapting to the environment and adapting to what you're doing. I think that's so important, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, you think people can have the most talent in the world, but if they do not practice all the time, the talent won't get into a certain stage, but it doesn't keep them going. You have to keep learning. And a simple thing for me, everybody, is learn something different every single day. That
Yeah.
way you keep improving. Just one little thing that you didn't do the day before, do that. Always find that. And if nothing else, you look back on your day and say, I achieved something. And that makes you feel good because the smile comes to your face. You went, all right, I had a tough day, but I did get that right. And that makes me feel good.
Yeah. I do that on a weekly basis. I mean, today we talked about that at the beginning of today's chat, really. You know, I take stock of where I am at the end of the week and also review what I'm doing with at the beginning of the week as well.
Yeah.
But I think just looking at those little areas did I do that little difference and change? Did I do that extra phone call? Did I make that extra sort of leap to go and meet somebody and face to face for a cup of coffee or something? Especially what I do in sales and business development, etc. as well, and networking, bringing people together. But I think that's so important. What you do from a mindset perspective is just looking at that, just that 1% difference.
Yeah, and I think it's a great book, which a lot of people say to know about, but I'm amazed how people don't, because Atomic Habits with James Clear, and he talks about the 1%. The 1%, yeah, there you go. The
Got it
1%
there?
difference every day. And even if you don't take a look at that way, that's why I say just do one thing different. Stop giving yourself a target, or maybe sometimes some people need, for most of my clients, they need that laser focus. So we have targets as in physically, you need to get to X. How do I get there? That's what we want to do. But what for most people, it doesn't have to be something like that. It's just, there's a great saying that I use all the time, and I love this, and it's 2,000 years old or more, and it was by a Chinese philosopher called Lao Tzu, and what he said was, every journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. All you've got to do, doesn't matter how big a target, how big your goal seems to be, always taking that one step means you're moving forward. And that's basically what James Clear's things came from. Is from that, is that we always, as human beings, we walk away from pain or we walk towards pleasure. Now, which one would you prefer? So if you walk 1% forward every day, you're actually doing both, because you're 1% away from the pain from the day before and you're 1% closer to your target, your pleasure. So doing that little thing is such a massive bit. And that's the bit that most people miss out on, is they'll say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it the next day or the day after. And it never comes, because that's that great saying, isn't it? Tomorrow never comes. There is no tomorrow. I love that saying in it. There is no tomorrow. It was, I think it's actually like Rock. I've done a few. This is probably Rocky movies. I must be Rocky mad. But in the saying of Rocky, when he loses his spark, he loses his fight, and what he's training at the time, Apollo says, is there is no tomorrow. If you look for tomorrow, it will never happen.
Yeah.
There is only today.
Yeah.
Make it happen today, and you will reap the benefits going forward.
That's Rocky 3, by the way, everybody. So I
Yeah,
remember
well done.
one of my favorite movies on that one. But I think it's so right. It's, you kind of just think, right, what am I planning? You can plan ahead of yourself as much as you want, but just look at what you're actually doing now. And if you didn't do it, why didn't you do it? And if you had tried it, you would have thought, okay, it worked well, or I could have learned something from that. I think that's so important. I think for ourselves, Tony, if everybody's watching and listening today as well, the topic of today is about, failure to thrive. And it's about really finding out those lessons that we've learned in our first year of business and beyond. I mean, Tony's been going for a lot longer than just 1 year, in fairness, into his business.
Yeah.
But hopefully we're going to share some common missteps. And I stress the word, not mistakes, missteps that we want to adapt to moving forward. But just to clarify, if anyone's watching and listening just now on the YouTube channel for the @Lee Foster Official, and also the LinkedIn profile, if you've got anything you want to share or add, or anything you just hear that was brilliant, just pop your details in the chat area. We'll certainly respond back to it. We'll give you a bit of a shout out as well, as always, because we are live on LinkedIn and we are live on the YouTube channel as well. So, Tony, what was your first year of business like? I mean, did you have a couple of missteps?
I like how you call them missteps, because other people are saying failures, and I don't agree with the term. But there's, again, I'm full of sayings. Failures are just steps in the way to success anyway. Because I said you learn something more sometimes from what you don't do right than what you do right. And I think when you sit out, someone put it very good to me this morning, we're talking about, is that you feel like you're walking on air. You feel like everything's fantastic because you're not stuck under someone else. You're not getting someone telling you what to do. You can go out and you feel that, I don't know, it's like an aura about you. You're your own boss. This feels fantastic. But then something starts to sink in as, okay, yes, I'm my own boss, but that means everything's down to me. You've suddenly realization is you've not got that help, and you try and look at other people and say, well, how did they do it? And the one main thing I say anybody, the things that I really learned, and probably things I did wrong, I was looking at people like Tony Robbins and Dean Gritson, all these big coaches that in my field, and looking at what they do and being a bit like them. And then when I was doing it, I was actually getting clients and I was saying, this isn't me. Why am I this shouty, jumpy person like that? That's not me. I'm not like that. So I realized the one thing that's to anybody with it is authenticity. It was the one learning that I really got that I was making mistakes about. As it wasn't just mistakes, these were mistakes. I was trying to be somebody I wasn't instead of being genuine. You draw and it'll resonate. People say you're unique clients because of who you are, about the things that you actually do, your messages, the visuals you put out. the practices, the way you speak to people at different events. Consistency builds everything in business, but
Mm.
consistently being authentic, that really starts to take something to get you gotten going and getting you off. And that was the first thing I had to learn, was because things weren't working. I was trying all these different things, putting things out on social media, like you told, and nobody was interacting at all. I wasn't even getting any views. And yet, to me, it was great. But the realization was it was great because I was writing it about me.
Mm.
What I wasn't writing about was the people that I was trying to connect with. I had to learn then is that when you are as a business owner, stop putting yourself into it as the business. You're there, your unique selling point. You are the main one. But what you need to learn about, one is be authentic, and two, understand your customers. Well, you
Yeah.
call them customers, clients, whatever you want. You need to understand them before you can start doing anything in business. You need to have that, the basic, the foundational blocks to build the business and start to do that. They were the first two things that really hit home to me is needing to do that. Is, I mean, for you, Lee, you probably found that as well because your business, leaving like a sales, as in a sales background with sales teams never around about you, to suddenly be your own and building your own business, you must have had similar things along the journey.
Oh, totally. I mean, I think in the early days, I wanted. Like, I've always said this to you as well, Tony. It's that I want people to take an understanding in who I was. You know, you've got a big team behind you, you've got a big corporation that you work for, etc. And then all of a sudden, when you work for yourself, you know this yourself, Tony, is that it's down to you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you sit back and you look at it and going, yeah, that ownership's on me now. So the authenticity, like I mentioned there before, I think this is so prevalent, right? Is that we look at our reputation, our
Mm-hmm.
brand is us. And I think the early days for me, did I make some missteps? Probably did in trying to get my brand out there. I'm not going to say I didn't. I probably focused too much on a service at one point, and then I switched it. The service was me.
Mm-hmm.
The service was getting a bit muggled. But yeah, I think authenticity is really important, and I found that in the early days. Do you find though, right? Do you think that many people put a mask on? And I'm going to be upfront with this. Do you find that people actually go, well, we're smoking about this, but do you think some people in business aren't authentic? They think they put a mask on, like standing on stage.
We all do that every day in life, every single one of us. There's a term for it called psychological masks. It just means we're there to protect ourselves in whatever environment we're in. So if you think about it, when you're at home with your family, you won't act the same way as if you get with your friends and go for a drink. You
Mm,
don't do that. If you're talking to your friends outside, you're not going to tell them the same things you might tell the closest friend or your partner, your wife, husband, whatever it is. And it's every day we do things, we put it on. The problem with some business owners was, and that's sort of what I was doing at the beginning, trying to be something I wasn't, is I say to people is when you go and look in a mirror and you start taking these masks off, when you come that deep into your business, you become something you're not, you find it difficult to change it, as if that mask is stuck. And it's because sometimes you have to rechange your whole business part or look at your philosophy to
mm,
get rid of that. Because if you are acting a business and you're doing it as the way that other people do, it will never last. There's no longevity for you because you're the thing it's missing. I said earlier, you're your own unique selling point. It's not the business itself, it's you. You, for example, you put two networks, you do networks, you put two networks together and they say, right, we're both networking. Why do some people go to one and not the other? Because the unique selling point really is the person that organises it because what they put into their business. Now, I've said we've had this conversation lately.
yeah.
Your networking group is not a networking group, it is a business club. It says it on your title here because the things that you add in that nobody else does in networking, that's in that unique selling point is because that comes from you. That comes from your heart, what you want to do for your clients. That authenticity comes through saying, okay, I could just do that, but I want to give more and I want them to give more because I want to see people succeed. That should be the same with anything we do. Whether you're a customer, whether it's your customer, your clients, whoever, you want them to get the best out of whatever you're providing, whether it's a product or service. You
Mm,
want to be the best. The only way you can do that is to keep the masks off and just be yourself.
yeah.
But doing it as well, remember, you don't have to do it alone. That's the thing why a lot of people wear the mask because it keeps them safe and secure. But not everything has to be done your own. When we set out, we're all brilliant at what we do in our own field. We're great at that. Then
Mm,
rather than masks, you look at it as hats and in other ways, people would say, well, wait a minute. Nobody taught me then. Like, for example, I'm a coach. Nobody taught me I need to know what these finances. I didn't know I was supposed to do all this stuff on social media and everything. I didn't know I was supposed to copyright. I'm supposed to do videos. And you start realizing there's so many other things. But what you've got to do is sit and go, okay, build a tribe around you, build people round about that really care. And I always say to people is, please don't use family and close friends. The simple reason is they love you that much, they will tell you whatever it makes you feel good. But
Yeah.
when you get real people and real business friends, they won't. They'll tell you what you need to hear. And that's such an important thing. And it's not easy sometimes to hear it comes from everybody else. But if you can hear that, you don't need the mask anymore because you're so authentic. You can take that feedback. It's not criticism, it's feedback to help you. They're giving you that advice because they want to see you succeed. That's an important thing for me is getting rid of the mask. People see the real you, they're more likely to help you.
Do you know somebody that you've just mentioned on there? Something else as well is that we meet so many people in our journey in business in from the early stages of what we do, and you may think they're a good fit, or they may think they're trying to help you, but they're actually hindering you. And
Mhm.
sometimes, they're not part of your journey going forward because there's a big element of this, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, is that your reputation is really important.
Yeah.
And sometimes those missteps have came because we've had the wrong people in our group or our
Mhm.
tribe or the close vicinity part of your team. Because again, just casting back then a bit further is that we start off on our own little journey and we think it's easy. We just sell ourselves, sell a product, get the revenue coming in. That starts to grow a business. But yeah, how do you do all the other plates are spinning at the same
Mhm.
time? That's when you start adding them all in. And
Yeah.
that's when it's great when you identify that you've got to go through those steps to meet people to find if they're a good fit. And you've got to try them sometimes. And to be honest with you, Tony, I've met many people over the years that have been part of the journey and they're not part of my journey anymore now. It's not that I've
Mhm.
disconnected from them. They're just, again, being there and just disappeared.
Yeah, and it's not just that I specialize in businesses from 1 to 5 years because
Mm,
that's more what I know I can understand. I can help other businesses with theirs, but the reason I love these ones is because they've still got that spark somewhere. They've
yeah,
still got to go why they set it up, and it's somebody's just finding that. But what a lot of people do, you're right. It's one thing that people don't realize. I hear a lot of people saying, "Yeah, but businesses fail right away in the first year." Actually, the facts were from UK Money was only 7% of businesses fail in the first year. It's normally three, four, and five. Up to 60% fail in year five. And it's because when they do get stuck at these things, or when they learn to take these masks off and they start realizing, yeah, the people round about were never the right ones for them, they look back and say, I wish I'd set some foundations in this business. I
yeah.
wish I'd actually done it. Because what they do is they dive in and yeah, they get people round about and they know what they're good at, but they don't look at the finances properly. So they don't know how to do forecasting for cash. They don't have a cash flow. They don't understand is, okay, what's profit and loss mean? So these finance things go over their head. That's why it's so important. And one of the biggest learnings for you want to thrive in your first year is get a good accountant on your side. And for me, it was one that somebody was laughing at me when I told them this. I interviewed 5 different accountants before I decided on one. And somebody laughed at me, you interviewed the accountants? And I went, well, yeah, I needed to understand who I would like. But
Totally.
actually, I got another one after the ones I did. It was somebody else that came on the scene, and she's been amazing. I couldn't have hands up enough for Aeon. It's been, Lindsay's helped me with so many things over the years and things that I would never have known. And this is what I say to thrive earlier on. There's a lot of things that people don't understand. Twice this week, I've had clients come to tell me they've been fined by HMRC for being late with putting things in or things they didn't know they were supposed to put in. Why, if they let themselves get that stage, it gets in, I don't understand. But it's because they dive in without having the right proper things in place. And that's the learning, not having the right people around them. Having other people say, oh, you don't worry about that, you do that later. But then the later comes later and later, and then you forget.
Hmm.
Whereas you get the right group of people around you, they've been through it, people who've understood what that's like. And you say, oh, I've got this thing, what am I supposed to do with it? Oh, you need to do this, this, this. They'll help you. The only thing I would say when you are looking for your tribe is please don't throw everything out there that you do to them.
Hmm.
Because the one thing I find a lot, and it's a shame, but it happens especially in the first year to people, is they really want to get to help people, they want to go out with people, so they give them everything. And then they realise, well, wait a minute, that's my stuff. Because they see it on social media or someone's told them something, went, that's what I do. And they've not realised that some people just think, okay, well, that's actually quite a good idea. I'm going to go with that because you're not quite ready to put it into practice yet because you're
Hmm.
still learning. And they'll tell you, and I would wait till you're ready for that and they'll go and do it. And that's such a shame that a lot of business owners get caught out with us is having that wrong group of people at the beginning. And the difficult fact is, how do you find the right people? How did
Do
you
you
do
know?
that when you set up?
Yeah, I mean, I found so many people at the beginning, Tony, that were somebody's just put in the chat group, right? And this is something that we can talk about here about vulnerability that's in there, right? Get my teeth in, by the way. Thank you, because it hasn't got a name on their LinkedIn user. It's just got people love vulnerability. I can't even say it. Vulnerability,
Vulnerability, yes.
vulnerability, right? People kind of understand that, and I think there's an element of that in the early days, right? Because I think there's so many people that have bought in, that have given advice, and then they disappeared, but you've been an open door to them.
Yep.
You've opened yourself up completely to them. I
Mhm.
mean, I've shared ideas. I mean, I've shared this now. We're chatting, but let's be upfront. Let's put cards on the table. I've given sort of ideas and what my plans are, and then people disappear,
Mhm.
and they use those ideas, and you've been an open book to people.
Yep.
That's why you're saying don't tell them everything that you're doing, but there's maybe a close knit of people you get around you that understand it really well, who will then embrace it and
Mhm.
support you further, and they'll be in for the long haul.
Yep. And
I've
it's,
met so many people in the early days that I've been really vulnerable with, in regards to what I've done in business. And have I learned? Has it scathed? Yeah, it has indeed.
yeah, I think, but sometimes you do hear business saying is that a term I never quite understand, but they say, I've got the scars, that's why they should come with me as a coach, because I've been there, done it, I made all these mistakes. Yeah, but it's the important thing is not about the mistakes and the vulnerability part. I look at vulnerability as a strength. Right? A lot of people are frightened to say to be vulnerable, they're right, because they worry too much what other people think. But vulnerability shouldn't really be about that. It should be being honest to yourself and saying, okay, yeah, I'm worried about doing things because people are worried about failing. So the vulnerability is there. They don't want people to
Yeah.
know that they've made mistakes. Well, you're not human. Because I don't know a human being that doesn't make a mistake. I know I have people say, oh, I've never had that. My business always went, never a problem. That's great if that's happened to you. Very rare, but it'd be great for you. But more people who are honest about it. And I think that's why you see a lot more people nowadays. LinkedIn has always been known as like a sort of job search platform or a business platform.
Mm,
But you're starting to see more and more now as people being a bit more vulnerable on there, telling their story so that business owners who look at them will go, either, well, that's the employee we want. Because that vulnerability shows also, if they've worked through that, that shows resilience. It
mm,
shows grit, tenacity, but it
mm.
shows something else. It shows an inner strength that that person is keeping going, no matter what they've faced. And they'll
Yeah.
keep going and going. And that is so important for anybody in life, especially in the first year of business, is to learn no matter what these obstacles are, no matter how many people take the things off you, need help. Don't be proud. Ask for help and you will find the right people. I
Yeah.
said earlier, same with clients. You can have 1,000 people doing the same job as you, but only your clients will come to you. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's because of that vulnerability, because they've been through that and they know that you can understand then what they're feeling. So for them, it's a great thing to say, actually, right, I like that person. They really understand what I felt that. I know what that's like. So
Mm.
you've got a synergy with them that can help. For
Yeah.
other people, the vulnerability just is that passion, that drive, because they don't want to be like that again. So it
Yeah.
drives them on and pushes you. That's me.
Yeah.
I've had that with things that I've faced, and yeah, I've been vulnerable. It was a word that someone used derogatively. They thought with me because I made myself vulnerable on a podcast that I used to do, and I told people about my illness and everything, and just
Mm,
demanded it up front. So because
mm.
there's times when yeah, I've had to go to hospital and things like that, so I wasn't always around. And the person that used to work with me said, "I couldn't believe you made yourself so vulnerable. I thought that was terrible. Why would people want to work with you now?" And I was like that. Actually, I looked at the total opposite. So I did a whole episode on vulnerability and
Mm.
why it is a powerful thing. As long as you can look at it yourself and see inside and say, actually, no, I'll make sure that this helps me. I'll make sure it gets me moving forward. And that's why when you look at things on it, you begin to build that network of people who've been there, done it. I call them trusted advisors.
Okay.
All the ones who know about me know that. People that I would trust to say, okay, I've got this problem, or I've got this program, I've got this I'm doing. Can you have a look and give me some feedback on it? Knowing they will never take it and away. They'll just come back with honest answers. And if it's rubbish, they will tell you it's rubbish.
Yeah.
It's having that relationship with people is amazing. And it's one of the things that I found with your networks I joined. I've said that that's the thing. It's finding in a network. It's amazing to find so many that I've got quite a few of them now. I've came from the RBC to have a trusted advisor that I would use because I can't do everything alone. So I know if I need an accountant, there's accountants there. If I need credit, there's I spoke to a gentleman, you know, it is in the ABC, who would help me with that. I've got other business coaches I know I could go to say, can I run something past you? I've got an idea. I'm not sure if I'm going the right direction. I could do that. If I need gifts for people, I know somebody can go. You can do that. Everything you need, you will find by just getting yourself out there, using the vulnerability as a strength, be authentic, and just then looking for the right people, and they will come to you. But you need to push yourself out there to do that.
Yeah, it's push yourself outside the comfort zone. But I think like a thing that my dad ingrained into me in the early days when he was in business and running pubs, etc., as well, is that always adapt to your environments and learn from your experiences.
Yeah.
And it's always, if you can adapt to it and keep moving forward, it's really important, because I think it's so true. We're all human and we all will try something out. But I love the part what you mentioned there's the trusted advisors that you got around you. Many people shy away from thinking, oh, it's not going to work that well if I speak to X, Y, and Z about it. But yeah, share it. Share what you're thinking, share what your thoughts are, share your experiences. But also, I think there's another point you've touched on there, was that when people are viewing anything that's on LinkedIn or any sort of social posts, etc., and you share your real hard experiences when you've been feeling outside the comfort zone, when you have been feeling uncomfortable to prepare yourself to be comfortable. Um, some of these not just employing you, but also ones who want to work with you, who are looking to hire you as a consultant. They're going, do you know what? Lee's been through that. Tony's been through that. Actually, they can bring a wealth of experience and an understanding of what some of my team or some of my individuals are going through at the minute. And I think that's one of the big points on that is actually they can thrive upon that sort of experience. But the other thing you mentioned on there again was, from the people you got around you is peer to peer and sharing experiences. That vulnerability that comes from that, but also sharing that experience that, from speaking to another coach, people actually think like this, Tony. They go, well, I do what they do. Well, yeah, you might do, but talk to one another and you'll share some of these real missteps and experiences that you've both sort of built upon it, but you'll get great advice from it. When you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think it's something that it's so important for people to learn early on about collaborating. You're right with the peer around this. People need to collaborate with others because I said earlier, don't do everything alone. But collaboration isn't competing. This is what a lot of people seem to get wrong with things like
Yeah.
that. Is they think you've got to compete with everybody, but you're not. As I said, your unique selling point is you. It is because you are you as an individual. All your good points, bad points, whatever, all of that comes out. People will relate to that in one respect or another. But your peers that you can get close to as well and get help from, collaborating with them. A great thing is we're just saying don't give everything away. But sometimes with them, they need advice from you. Be willing to give that because that's when they say, actually, this person really knows what they're doing. They can hear it because people can actually get a feel or see it. And I think that's so important for, especially early on, the first year, as early as possible, we said about getting those people around you, but learn from them, but then help them. It's called skill sharing. And what is that when you're looking early on, one of the most important things I said earlier is obviously looking at your finances. Well, you don't have to pay for everything out there. There is options, places you can go. But an important part of that as well is remember how good you are at what you do. Other people will be looking for that. They will need your help, but they might be able to do something for you. Early on, I had a lovely lady who wanted to have a bit of coaching with confidence. And what I wasn't good at was working with digital stuff. And I needed to do a presentation. So I said, could you help me put it doing Canva? She went, no, but I'll teach you how you can do it. I went, amazing. So we met up, sat down, she took it all, and even more than that, she actually printed it up, everything ready for me, step by step. Knowing I probably would make a mistake or two once I was away from her, she wrote it all out for me, every single little detail, because that's the way my mind works. I need detail, that's how I think. And brilliant, I get away. Now people be saying, but who does all the presentation things? I mean, I do it. I'm a technophobe. There's somebody else in the group calls it a tech dinosaur. I'm even further back than that. But I look good with that because I got that help. And I would never have done that until I got the guts to say to somebody, look, I'm really sorry. I'm struggling here. Please, can somebody help me? And she just stepped on it. I'll do it. Met up, we did it. And it was being able to do that skill share. Whereas what would that have cost me to go and get help to do that? I did speak to a few people and the money they were asking for didn't feel right. It seemed astronomical, but
Yeah.
I didn't understand the value behind that from them. because what they had to do to learn to be able to teach me that. Whereas this lady doing it, what I learned was once somebody shows you that rather than tells you what to do, it's amazing how you can go and do it yourself. I didn't have to keep going back. And that's the kind of people you want around about you. The ones that will help with that, but you can also help them.
Yeah.
There's
Did you?
somebody put something in the chat as well.
I think it's actually from Angie, Dr. Angie Bothan. She's put in their podcast guest interview, but also talking about how to help someone with selective mutism. I know Angie's really powerful and focused on that as well. So, Angie, thank you so much for jumping on today and listening in to this LinkedIn Live today as well. And please keep the chat going. Anybody else is watching, if you got something you want to share or you want to ask a question to me and Tony, or Tony especially as my guest, just drop something in there, share that with us, share your comments on it. And the same with YouTube, drop it in. We're going to respond back to it later on. But LinkedIn is live, so we can share some information on there for you as well. Thanks very much, Angie. Yeah, I think, how long did it take you to, so one of the missteps that you made in your first year of business, Tony, how did you, or how long did it take you to recover from it? Was it quick, or was there a time where it took a lot longer to recover from something?
For some people that know, we say I'm probably still learning at the moment, and that's stop giving so much time away for free.
Yeah.
I've been had it in the neck from somebody this week again for me still doing the same thing.
So have I, surprisingly.
And it was, I can understand what the way they put it to me was they gave a description of a client, and I didn't even click. They were talking about me, and they got this issue with a client, and every time somebody asks them what to do, they'll go and do it. Even though they're very good normally at setting buffers between calls, whatever, they'll jump on to help the person. But what starts to happening is that the day was great, they've got it all fixed out, and then they have to move things or change things, whatever. The day was getting extended, and she's, what would you tell them? I went, setting boundaries, making sure people know where exactly you're available and you're not available. So keep it clear in your messaging, keep it clear in your calendar. So you've got map picks packed out of it. So you've got buffer sort of zones. She went, that's great. What else would you tell them? I went, learn to say no. And she went, do you know a workshop about that? But yeah, the no nonsense approach. And what do you tell them? That sometimes by saying no, you're actually saying yes. Because sometimes if you say no to someone all the time, it's a free event. There could be someone around the corner, it's a client that really needs your help that's willing to pay for that. And she went, good, because you're my client. So what are you going to do about it? And I was like, oh, right, okay. She goes, this is what I've seen in the last week from you again. And yeah, it's true. And sometimes it's because we need that other set of eyes to people to tell you that.
Yeah.
And I know in the first year especially, my wife kept asking the question, she'd say, well, are they paying you for that? And she's probably still doing it now as well when I do that. I said, she'll do it. And it was true. I had to get a head on that, wait a minute, I'm not just in business, I am the business owner. Everything that happens in this business has to be me. I've got to make sure that rather than working for time, as I was sort of looking at, I'm working for the value that I put in. And then one simple thing to keep my head with it, and I can't remember where I got it from, but it was someone that said to me, probably one of my early mentors, and I think I know the person. She said was, okay, what would you be doing if you weren't with that client just now, the one that didn't pay you? And I went, well, me and my wife are going to go. And as soon as I said me and my wife, Geraldine, I went, I know what she's meaning. I just gave up my precious time with my wife Geraldine to go help someone else with a problem when she's not got that much time off her work. So that was our time. And that's the bit people need to realise early on in business as well. Your time is valuable. It's not just money. Your time is really valuable because without that time, you won't make the money in the business to bring the lifestyle you want so that you've got that time with these other people. So that's probably the one thing that I took the longest to learn. Although I say I still have lapses with it, but I think as human beings we do. If somebody needs help, you don't like walking away, you offer the help. But yeah, not doing it as much as what I was doing at the beginning. And I think a lot of business owners fall in that trap for different reasons.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons is that they think if I keep doing that and helping them, maybe they'll help me, but it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah. I think that's a massive misstep. And I using that word now, actually, misstep. I think it's a positive, but a
Yeah.
more educational word, right? But we've all been down that road. You said about your missus, my missus, etc. And it's going, why are you working so late?
Mhm.
And there's no boundary of actually shut down. And I don't mind sharing this with you, Tony. I do that now every day. So on the end of the day, I put everything away and everything's turned away, completely turned off. I have lapses now and again on the phone, but all of my office equipment goes away. It gets all tidied away completely. And it's not in the mind. And it's also, you get distracted. I call it the magpie effect, the shiny objects.
Mhm.
You say something and you go, oh, I'll go and do that instead. or you switch your calendar around and go, well, I've got that in there, but I can move this instead of that if I wanted to. But also the biggest thing I ask everybody, what's the biggest challenge in business in the early days, is just having enough time. But you've got enough time, you're just not planning it out and balancing it out the right way. And it's not just in business, it's also your family life.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us work from home now, majority. It's easier in some respect. But if you work from home, take that time out and switch off at a certain time of night if you can. And be there, or take a day that you want just for yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to get the balance right between the two.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people who, especially the ones I work with, have came to me with that, say I've got the stress, whatever else. It's always the same. They come with one thing, but it's never the problem. What they come with is what the effect is from the problem. So they'll come to me with stress, over and burnout, whatever. And so this problem, business, this is harm. That's never the issue. It's what causes the stress or over and burnout. That's the issue. And time, yeah, comes into so many people's thing. And say, but we've all got the same time. Oh, but that person's doing well. No, they're managing their time better. They've got strategies in place, procedures in place. Yeah, we'll get to that. But sometimes we need to get you over this fact of, I don't have the time. Look at that, right? Where can we make this time up? And it's so simple. You said there a great thing about you can just stop at a certain time, which is brilliant. But I know so many people who say the problem is working from home. And you ask them why. Well, because in the office, if I were at home and then I go, oh, I need to do that, I need to wait till the morning or jump on a laptop, maybe try and do something. But here in the house, they just step into their office or out to the garden office. It's too close. It's too easy to say. You get in for 5 minutes, yeah, and an hour later, they're still sitting there. And I said, that's the thing. It's you don't give yourself permission to switch off.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. There's a great guy both of us know called Jay. Jay, when I first met him, got me to realise something that I do, but I didn't realise how important it was. We were looking at my diary and our daughter's red. What's the red? It says private. It means family time. So weekends, if I'm not, I agree once in every 4 weeks, I might help out a weekend because my wife's a nurse and she works one weekend in four. So if I've not really got those planned, I don't mind helping a client out then. But the rest of the time, it's always bright red because that's our time, family time. That doesn't get changed. That stays where it is. I also can have it during the day that you said. If she's off during the week, I've said to you recently, if I can be able to do it, I take the whole day. If not, I take as much as I can. So we spend the time together. Getting business owners to see that and to look at it and go, how do you do that? How do you take that whole day off? You're amazing what you achieve in the 4 days when you suddenly take the day off. Because your mind suddenly goes, I've only got 4 days to do it, not 5. I need to get this done. Less procrastination, more concentration, you're more focused. And that's the one word of anything people take away today from me about a business owner in the first year: focus. It's the name of most of my programs. It's on it. A lot of business companies I work with know that. It's called focus. The F is fostering trust. Again, back to the authenticity. But the focus part is because most business owners, especially in the first year, love the freedom of being away from a business, being away from a job, not realizing that freedom is costing you money. Every time you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're not focused, you're not concentrating your business. Maybe in 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years down the line, or like I said, 3, 4, and 5, it can happen. Suddenly you don't have a business. You look back on it when you eventually learn how to reflect and go, actually, yeah, it was the first year, wasn't it? I didn't do enough to get this business going. I didn't put that effort in. Or I worked all these hours under the sun, but I was never productive. I was working to be busy, not working to be productive. And that's so important. So anything at all people take with it, focus on everything you do. That's the important part with anybody in business.
I agree with that, Tony. I couldn't agree with any more of that, really. And it's like that 4-day week. I set myself a goal for that at the beginning, well, end of last year, really. And I've stuck by it now more than ever before, really. And somebody said to me the other day, why are you considering to put something on that actual day that you actually separate for your family? Once you do it once, you'll do it more, and then you'll add more things in it when it becomes working 5 days again. So stick to what you said you're going to do and stick by it. I do the same thing in my calendar. I'll put in all my private time, and if I'm traveling to Newcastle, etc., family time in an evening, certain things during the week, etc. It's all blocked in, and it just means I have one calendar, and it just has it all in one calendar instead of having multiple calendars in there. So just one calendar, everything's showing in it. I think that's so important, and I think a lot of people in their early days of business, their first year, if they're just starting off and they've got a great idea, they never think about that. They never ever think about that. They think about, I've got a product to sell or something actually put out there, a service, and they go out there hitting the ground straight away on that one.
Yeah.
Tony, it's been great having a chat with you today. I really do appreciate it.
Yep, enjoyed it. Yeah. One thing for it to finish, I'd like to say to people
Yeah.
is the one bit we haven't spoke about, and this always happens with business things, and it's the reason I left it to the end was to say as well, if you've got any questions up there, is because it's self-care. It's the one thing in the first
Yeah.
year in business that no one ever thinks of. I've just said about the setting the boundaries, setting the private things up on your calendar is great. Self-care, people get wrong. They think, but I've not got time to do that because it means I've got to go out in nature. I've got to go away for a night. I've got to go out. Self-care just means care of self. Whatever you need to do. If it means taking a 15-minute after something and going to have a coffee, going out, step outside, get some fresh air, whatever it is, you go and do it. But please, please, please focus on your business, but focus on you as an individual. That's something that most business owners the first year do not do at all, is actually focus on their own self-care. And it doesn't matter what it is. For everybody, it's different. Mine's, everybody knows, the ones that know me, is music. I've always got these on headphones all the time. I just love music. So I'll be listening to whatever is on. And it can be, people laugh at this. I had a conversation with one gentleman last week because I had the Rubettes and then Metallica after each other. And just like, how does anybody get from one thing to that? And I went, because I've just got this weird thing with music. Depending what mood you're in, you just need something. And for a lot of the young ones won't even know who Rubettes are. It was a band from way back in 74, 75. I'm sure my age. And then Metallica, who've been gone for about 30 years. And it was because it stimulates me. So actually, that 5 minutes I listen to a couple of songs or somebody's one song, I'm re-energized for the next bit I do. Just not 5 minute break. Another great thing they can do, I do maybe people, is a bit of mindfulness. I just get them to go into themselves for 5 minutes. Just totally relax. And people say, how can I get re-energized if I'm relaxed? Because that's all your mind needs sometimes, is just to stop all these thoughts, stop all the pressure you put on yourself. 5 minutes can be all you need to do to re-energize yourself, ready to go. And you'll be amazing how much work you can actually do if you start doing these little things.
Well, in fairness, we can always, I'm not going to, we're wrapping things up today, but again, it's that taking that 10 minutes during each day just to disconnect completely from it, just do some breathing exercises, get yourself in the zone, just resets this, gets rid of the noise that's going on. But it's funny you talk about the sort of music that you play. I mean, somebody said to me the other day, I was listening to AC/DC because I do like Thunderstruck. That gets me really revved up.
Yeah, I'll be listening to that this week.
I like Thunderstruck. People go, you're an AC/DC fan? Yeah, so I like my AC/DC. I love my Nothing But Thieves because I love that sort of sound to it all. It's the beats that get me.
Yeah.
But the other one I've listened to, and I used to listen to in the car, was Head Candy, right? I used to listen to Head Candy. So you had 3 different music genres that I was listening to that went, does that help you? Well, yeah, it sets me in different areas and zones that just brings me to reset myself completely. But taking 10 minutes out of the day of just literally leaving your phone in the office, disconnect and just go for a walk around the block, sit in the back garden. Cheers, Mark. Mark Thulis has just put his little signs up. Thanks, Mark. I'll give that to you, especially for my friend. Yes. So, yeah, but I think it's self-care. That's why, let's just talk about this just briefly now with this, right? There's so many people out there that are going through burnout.
Yeah.
But fortunately, they don't know they're going through burnout until it's too late. And at the point of burnout, it's because they haven't taken a little bit of time just for them.
Yeah.
And I think you're so right. In that early start of business, get yourself all set up the right way, but add some time in to look after you as well.
Yeah.
And,
the thing with it as well, you find, especially with business owners, the person I was talking about that was laughing at me with some music because he's fun. It's not just because I did that; he does it as well. That's Mark. It's actually on the call now. What we found is when we first spoke, we never talked at all about business. It was just talked about music. Then we cut up a wee bit of talk about businesses and that. Last week we spent an hour on a call. It flew, and all it was music we talked about, and it's because it's such a powerful thing to find that connection. Remember what we said earlier: trusted advisors, people around about you that you can get on. But me and Mark talked about, and it wasn't work that connected us. It was finding out that the two of us have got similar things we like, even though he's something to do with Star Wars or something like that. Star Trek's the best, by the way. But he likes Star Wars anyway. Just got to let him know. I mean, controversy on the program's always good, right? But what really brought that showed is that connection with people. That was something was amazing. And I say that to everybody. And my trying to do one-to-ones, whatever it is with people connect the first time, what to call them, is I don't really want to talk about the business. I want to get to know you as a person. And that's the thing for me. It's the most important of a lot is meeting somebody like Mark on there is like inspirational to me
I agree.
because he's fantastic what he does as a business, but he's such a genuine, remember what I said, being authentic? He's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. Angie, it's on the line as well, but put
Yeah.
comments on. I
Yeah.
said there about people with showing vulnerability and being able to step up. There's a perfect example of that. What she's achieved over the last few years is more than inspiring. It's more than
Oh,
incredible.
100%.
Unless you know the person, you wouldn't know that. But when you get to know her, you'll see what that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's what we meant about having people around about the right thing. That self-care thing you do allows you to do that. Having that little bit of you that you can show as well. Look after yourself. Talk to other people about it, and you'll find that synergy. And you actually find that not only personally you could work, you could probably work professionally with them.
Yeah.
All because you looked after yourself, and it's just something you do you can discuss with someone else.
Yeah. I especially I totally 100% echo everything you just said there about who's joined us today, just in the chat area there as well. One thing that Mark does enjoy is a good smorgasbord of experience. And I do stress the word there, smorgasbord of experience. Mark will appreciate that word that's in there. But yeah, I think the people that are around you and the people that do it and invest in the time to find out about them individually, you'll then find out about their business as well. But just taking a vested interest in learning about their background and why they do what they do is so important. And on that note, Tony, I think that's a great point just to wrap things up, actually.
So just Maisie, thank you very much for the opportunity to come on here today and speak about it as well. It's the way you do this is amazing, and the people on here as well. So it's a privilege for me to be on here. It's inspiring hearing all these other people that's been on as well. So make sure you tune in every time. It's a great place to actually not just to get to know the people, get to know the business as well as the people as well. That's great for it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Tony. You've been a great asset to my business journey over the many years we've worked together. We've got some more exciting things coming up very shortly in the next 2 to 3 months that I never stop adapting and working on things behind the scenes. So you've been an absolute superb asset within my team, most importantly. And it's great that you are part of it because you're a great advisory board, as we found out over the last 2 weeks, having a conversation. But thank you to everybody who's watched and listened to us today as well. Stay tuned. I've got many, many more guests come along to join me every single week as part of this show, the Newpreneur Cast, the podcast on the YouTube channel. If you go to @LeeFosterOfficial, subscribe to the channel, I'll give you an update of when I've got the guest and when we're live. And we're also live on LinkedIn every single week as well. If you want any information or any questions or want to have a sit down and just a chill chat with Tony, I would highly recommend that you reach out to Tony Gordon from Changing Your Mind Limited on his LinkedIn profile. Or if I can help conduit that introduction, please just let me know and I can put it through to you both as well as possible. Thanks again from me. Thank you from Tony. And as always, we wish you a fantastic week ahead. And remember, everybody, happy connecting. Take care. See you all soon. Ta-da for now.